Hello, welcome to Berry Nerd Corner. My name is Brandon, and this is my attempt to beat Pokemon Scarlet using only Gen 5 Pokemon. I have 3 objectives. Collect all 18 story mode badges, complete the Way Home story, and create a living dex of all 34 available Gen 5 or Unova Pokemon. Couple disclaimers, a living dex means I have one of every single species, not just that I have it in the Pokedex, but I have it in the PC. So I will need to catch, for example, a Dano and have a Zweilous and have a Hydreigon all in the PC or my party to count as a living dex. Second, I'm not doing any level caps because the document I had was incorrect, and trying to balance 18 level caps as I go through the game was just having me update the level caps every 2 seconds. Lastly, I'm only really showing the first Starbase and Titan, and then I'm going to show interesting battles later. Let me know in the comments what you want to see, but this is my first Scarlet run, and there's just so much stuff in Pokemon Scarlet that I'm just trying to make it manageable for myself. But let me know in the comments what you want to see. But now, let's get to the video itself. Our journey begins with a proper introduction to the Naranja Academy. But who has time to go to school when there are Pokemon to capture? We go on a slow walk with the 3 starter Pokemon. It's so incredibly slow. But luckily, we remember how to run halfway to our neighbor's house. There, we get to choose our starters. None of them are from Unova, though they each have a counterpart there. I choose Fuecoco because it's my favorite, and I have a plushie of it over on my shelf from I don't even know who. I name him Crocodile because it's funny. With that out of the way, let's speed through some plot. We battle Nemona, fall off a cliff, feed a sandwich to a dinosaur, and meet Arven. We can now head to the academy, but first, I want to catch a Pokemon. I use a glitch to jump to a distant cliff and catch a Deerling. His name will be Jack. Let me know in the comments down below if you recognize where all my nicknames came from. That gives us our first encounter, meaning Crocodile is now unusable. I also find and catch a Basculin. This is Kate, giving me 2 for my living dex. Time to head to the academy. There, we challenge Team Star to help a girl with a dope backpack. We reach the academy where we can officially begin the Path of Legends, Victory Road, and Starfall Street. Let's go. But first I catch a bunch of Pokemon off screen. Our current team is Deerling, Basculin, Cubchoo, Dano, and Rufflet, plus an egg. To keep Pokemon under the level caps, I did use a lot of breeding in this series. I may not mention it later, but I'm telling you right now. In the box, I have more. I have Fungus, Pawniard, 2 Axew, a Red Stripe Basculin, and a Larvesta. This gives me 9 for my living dex. I was initially going to include both forms of Basculin, but then I changed my mind during the script and editing processes, because I also realized I should probably count Deerling and Sawsbuck, and I didn't want to do that. While I'm traveling around, the egg hatches into another Larvesta. Her name is Erin, and now the team is full. And just in time for the first gym. We run into Nemona, who explains that every gym has a test to pass before we can battle the leader. We're in Cortando for the bug gym, so naturally we have to perform the olive roll, which is basically playing soccer with a giant olive. The physics are wonky, but it's quite fun regardless. I quite like the challenges in Scarlet and Violet. Comment below and tell me your favorite or least favorite gym test in Paldea. And while you do that, I'm going to battle Katie. I lead with my resident bug, Erin. And she totally sweeps her 3 bugs. They each fall to 2 hits of Flame Charge or Flame Wheel. I don't even need to Terrastalize. And not even her Terra Teddiursa can survive 2 hits. That's 1 of our 18 story badges acquired. And now we immediately go to face our first Titan, the Rock Titan Cloth. First, we battle with Kate. 2 blasts of Water Gun are enough to knock it to red health, which sends it scurrying in fear of my landlocked fish. I chase it down and challenge it again. This time, it's eaten some local weeds, Arven is here, and I'm using Sawyer. The battle is easy, so let's skip it. After the battle, we find the weeds that it ate and make a couple of sandwiches. Seems safe. I then feed mine to Koraidon, who can now run, which is interesting. In other regions, running is illegal if you don't have the right shoes, but here, it's impossible unless you've eaten some of the local plant life. How strange. I head to Artisan City where I push a Sunflower into a pool where it almost certainly dies. This proves that I'm ready to take on Brassius. The battle begins with Sawyer versus Petalil. Unfortunately for Brass, Sawyer has Sap Sipper. This gives him immunity to all grass moves and a nice attack boost when hit with one. So I just wait 6 turns for him to max out my attack, since Petalil only knows grass moves. Then I quickly Curb Stomp Petalil and Smoliv. Then Sudowoodo comes out and terastallizes into a grass type. Unfortunately, his defense is too high for a quick Curb Stomp. Fortunately, there's nothing he can do to stop Sawyer from two-stepping all over his face and grave. After finishing the battle, we meet a guy named Hassel. He's a member of the Elite Four, and also I think a teacher at the academy. He asks about my journey, then encourages me to go to class. That's a no for me, dog. With that done, let's track down the next Titan, Bombirdier. This is a tough bird. Hugo should be able to do some damage with Frost Breath, but a Rock Throw takes him down before he can attack. I then send in Kate. 2 turns of attacks take both of us into the red, but that triggers the next phase of the battle. But now I'm leading with Sawyer, who is immediately eaten by Pluck. Kate is also too hurt to battle, so I send out Desmond. He keeps using Leer while Arbenz Knackley carries the team, grounding that bird with a few hits of Smackdown. Our 4th badge in hand, we make another sandwich that lets Koraidon surf on the water. We also learn about Arben's injured Mabostiff. He's making these super sandwiches to help his beloved Pokemon heal. The same sandwiches that give Koraidon superpowers are barely keeping Mabostiff alive. That's doubly tragic when you think about it like that. Drying my eyes, it's time to catch a few new Pokemon. We dive into the West Paldean Sea and swim around. A lot. We eventually find one new Pokemon, Tynamo. We capture her and name her Nadia, bumping our living dex up to 10. I quickly catch 2 more named Saeed and Shannon for later. We then travel to the North Paldean Sea where we find an Alomomola. We catch him and name him Boone, giving us 12. I think it's time for our first Team Starbase. This mechanic is pretty cool, though it does get a bit old by the end of the story. We have to beat a grunt into the base, then the base is a battle royale with our first 3 Pokemon. It's not hard, but then the boss fight more than makes up for it. Disclaimer, I hate these star boss fights so much. You'll see why in just a second, because it's time to challenge Giacomo. He leads with a Pawniard, but it's irrelevant. His second Pokemon is his Starmobile, which is an absolute nightmare. In fact, this is why I hate star boss battles. Let's talk about that. First, the Starmobile just comes out to the field, so entry hazards won't work. It's immune to all negative status conditions, including volatile ones like Leech Seed and Confusion. They have infinite power points for all their moves, and they have bonkers stats. Just look at these numbers. The Seguin one has 100 more HP than any of my Pokemon. Starmobiles are ridiculous, and I hate them. I can only watch helplessly as Giacomo turns all of my Pokemon into Roadkill. Take 2. One benefit to losing though is that I can reorder my team for this battle, so let's see how it goes. This attempt starts out worse with me losing Sawyer before the Starmobile even comes out. But then Kate is able to whittle down most of its HP because Giacomo keeps using Metal Sound. I then managed to defeat the glorified Bumper Car with a headbutt from Baby Quan. Defeated, Giacomo has a flashback to some incident 18 months ago. I'll give you some of my thoughts on Team Star at the end of the video. For now, let's update the badge counter and move on. Our next challenge is Iono at the Electric Gym, so I think we need a new Pokemon. In sharp contrast to our latest catches, we head to the Asado Desert and begin the search. Eventually, we find a Braviary, and, after a moment of consideration, challenge it. Quickly, guess in the comments how many Pokemon Braviary brutally murders. You have 5 seconds. The correct answer is 5. All but Desmond fall to this ferocious bird. After healing, we can hunt for our actual target, Sandile. We'll catch this one and name her Alex. But I need 3, so I'll catch a weaker one named Carl, and I'll breed for the 3rd one off screen. After grinding, we head to the Levincia gym, where we run into Nimona. She challenges us to a battle, which we accept. But this fight is nothing spectacular. I don't expect her to be much of a challenge at any point in this run. Now we can enter the Iono zone. We have to play Where's Waldo with Clavel to challenge Iono at the gym, which is kind of meta when you think about it. Skipping that, let's battle. The battle begins with Hugo freezing a bird to death and Libby burying a cat alive. Oh, and there's also a frog, whose life we slowly drain away. Kind of like that myth about boiling a frog slowly. Anyway, Iono's ace is an electric type Mismagius, which can be really tough if you aren't ready for it. And boy, was I ready for it. By pivoting carefully between Sawyer and Libby, I can avoid taking any damage from Hex and Charge Beam. When it runs out of power points for these moves, it can only struggle in vain, as Libby brutally defeats it with a couple of Terra boosted bites. Nice try, Iono. We then meet Gita as we leave the gym. She's the local reigning champion, and she asks if I want to become the champion as well. Sure, why not? After grinding and switching up the team, we challenge the next Team Starbase. This one is full of fire types, so I had to bring both Fish and all 3 Sandcrocs. Mela challenges us after we clear out her grunts, but some rain and a couple of fish out of water handle her pretty easily, allowing Baby Quan to steal another Starmobile kill. Cue another flashback, and we move on. With our new level cap, Carl is able to evolve into Krokorok on the way to the next Titan. This is our first evolution thanks to Gen 5's insane evolution levels, giving us a Pokedex total of 13. I also run into this random trainer with a Snover, right after putting Aaron at the front of the party. So naturally I have to Terrastalize into a fire type and ruin Christmas with a Flame Wheel. Nice try, kid, but Santa's not real. We corner perhaps the cutest new Pokemon, the Steel Titan Orthworm, and challenge it to battle. I didn't know about Orthworm's Earth Eater ability, but even with that, this Titan was super easy. With the worm defeated, we head to Jason's Deli, where Koraidon eats a Reuben and learns to jump even higher. Neat. To get ready for the next gym, I have to catch a few new Pokemon. I catch a Lilligant and name her Anna Lucia. Or not. Just Anna it is then. I'll just find a Petalil to name Lucia and call it a day. Sidebar, look at this insane level 1 moveset for Anna. I can basically set up her moves for life. This is awesome. Sorry Lucia, but you're never seeing the light of day again. I then run around the Tag Tree Thicket for a while. My hope is to find a Zorua, but it disguises itself as other Pokemon like Ditto does. Luckily, like Ditto, it reveals itself in the first round of battle, so it's just a matter of time until I find the imposter. His name is Michael, and that makes 16. With that done, we head to Cascarafa for our next gym battle, but the leader Kofu runs off when we arrive, heading to Porto Marinada for an auction. But he dropped his wallet. So now my gym test is to return it to him? How lame. But what's not lame is his Venonat wallet. I want one. Flying to the port, we find Kofu distraught about his lost wallet. But his stupid gym trainer blocks us from speaking with him. So we murder his Pokemon and return the wallet. But now we must face our true gym test. The Porto Marinada auction. That seems illegal. Back at the gym, we find Hassel again. He brought his fellow Elite Four member, Rika. She asks about my battle skills and talks about the champion assessment or something. I don't know. I am too distracted by her amazing drip to focus on any of the words coming out of her mouth. Speaking of drip, time to challenge Kofu and his water-type Pokemon. But he doesn't stand a chance. Anna buffs herself with a couple of quiver dances, then each of his Pokemon fall to a single hit. I do Terrastalize against Crabominable, but I doubt it was necessary. This Pokemon is absolutely busted. And now we're halfway to one of our objectives. But next to the Team Star base, so I have to prep. And boy, do I prep. I catch a Gothorita named Mikael, then breed it with a Ditto for a Gothita. But I had to feed one of the twins while picnicking. This gave me 11 eggs. Time to hatch them and start a reality show on TLC. With that done, I beat a bunch of trainers to earn an Eviolite, and then I craft a Swords Dance TM. All of this is for Danielle. Getting into the fight, she's able to set up with a bunch of Iron Defense and Swords Dance. With that, she's able to take down Skuntank, Revavroom, and Muck. Then Carl comes in to handle the Starmobile with relative ease. Now for the 5th gym. We register for the gym test, which requires ordering the correct item from a local restaurant. We have to take down 3 other challengers to get their clues, so let's do that. Oh, but before we battle Larry, Jack evolves into Sawsbuck, just in time for the gym. This battle is quite a team effort. Anna takes down Kamala and Dunsparce by herself, then hits Staraptor with Leech Seed before falling. Then, Carl softens the bird with Stomping Tantrum, allowing Kate to finish him off with a couple of Aqua Jets. Hitting Staraptor with Stomping Tantrum is just so weird. It's unnatural. Nimona and Gita check in on us. Nimona uses the opportunity to challenge us to a battle in the middle of the street. This fight starts off pretty well. I clear through her entire team up to Meowscarada without losing any Pokemon. So obviously there's nothing she can do to stop me, right? Wrong. And that's why I'm showing you this. Terra boosted, always critting, never missing Flower Trick is absolutely brutal. If only I had a Pokemon that quad resisted Grass move and could cripple her with a status effect like Burn. Oh well, her Flower Cat rips through my entire team in a matter of moments, especially after Danielle puts her in Overgrow range. Surprisingly, the game lets me move on despite the loss, which is an excellent new touch for the series. To cope with my feelings, I could either eat a giant bowl of ice cream or evolve a ton of Pokemon. I don't have any ice cream, so I decided to have an evolution extravaganza. Gothorita, Carl, Nadia, Hugo, Charlotte, and Echo evolve into Gothitelle, Krookodile, Electrike, Beartic, Amoonguss, and Fracture, respectively. I then use a Thunderstone on Saeed to evolve him into Electros, giving us a total of 26. Heading to the gym, we run into a guy named Jacques. I think he's also a teacher. He asks if we figured out what we're looking for. Yeah, dude, I've been looking for Unovan Pokemon the entire time. Then he gives us a Lucky Egg. This will be handy for training a few Pokemon later. The battle with Rhyme isn't anything too spectacular. Her Toxtricity manages to score several KOs, but once we make the fight a 2v1, her fate is sealed. My giant teddy bear takes her down, which is the most useful thing he's done this entire run. Before heading to the next Titan, I detour to catch the Man in Black and evolve him into Zoroark. In the desert, we find Great Tusk, the ancient ancestor to Phanpy and Donphan. Not quite sure who created Jurassic Paldea, but I guess I have to stop it. Anna's Energy Ball one-shots the giant elephant, so this Titan is done. We make another sandwich with Arven, but it's sour. I hate sour. So I give it to our Bikosaurus, who can now fall with style. Oh, and Arven's dog is feeling better too. With that done, let's head to Alfornada for the next gym. But once we arrive, Nimona challenges us to a battle. Once again, I tear through her first 3 Pokemon with ease, though I lose Penny to some bad paralysis luck. Then Meowscarada starts ripping through my team again. In hindsight, I'm not sure why I didn't just switch in Sawyer right away to absorb the Flower Trick. I eventually do just that, and my favorite character defeats the stupid cat. With that sweet taste of victory on our lips, it's time for the Alfornada gym test. This test gets a lot of flack from other Poketubers, but I don't mind it. I'll defend it against any naysayers. Tulip specializes in Psychic types, and I have 2 strong Pokemon with Crunch. They're able to eat Farigiraf, Gardevoir, and Espartha quite easily. Then I Terrastallize Sawyer against her Florges. Both Pokemon exchange some blows, but Sawyer quickly takes her down and earns us our penultimate gym badge. After we win, Rika shows up and introduces us to a toddler. And this toddler is a member of the Elite Four? Are there no child labor laws in Paldea? Why do I have to start my journey at 10 if this toddler can be one of the strongest trainers in the region? This is stupid. Anyway, with 1 gym remaining, I realize that I have a really bad matchup against him. So I switch up my team a bit, grind them close to the unofficial level cap, and head to Glaciado Mountain. There, We do some sledding and challenge Grusha. First up is Aaron versus Frostmoth. Just like in the first gym, Aaron proves that he is the superior bug by one-shotting the stupid moth. Second is to Titan, so I switch to Saeed. He paralyzes Brennan Fraser, but is still outsped and taken out by Ice Spinner. Danielle comes in to finish the job, bringing in a polar bear. Unlike the other polar bears Danielle has seen, this one actually makes sense. This one also knows Earthquake, and it uses it immediately to bury her alive. It also takes out Aaron before she can inflict a burn with Will-O-Wisp. Penny manages to deal some damage before falling to a critical Icicle Crash. This leaves us both with 2 Pokemon remaining, putting me in a tough spot. I choose Kate, and she manages to put down the bear with 2 hits of Crunch. That just leaves Altaria. After terastallizing, she hits a Hurricane to knock out Kate. This forces me to send out my own polar bear and terastallize him. Hugo dodges a Hurricane, then tanks a hit for finishing off the Cloud Pokemon with a couple of slashes. With that victory, we have completed the gym challenge, but we still have 2 star bases and 1 Titan to take down, so let's get to it. We head to the 4th star base and ring the bell to challenge Ortega. She uses Fairy Pokemon, but that's nothing for our intrepid team of survivors. Charlotte and Penny put some huge dents in the Starmobile, allowing Kate to finish the job with a single Aqua Jet. Now the level cap is high enough to evolve some more Pokemon. Echo evolves into Haxorus, Baby Quan and Sun both evolve into Zweilous, Desmond evolves into Braviary, and Danielle becomes Bisharp. What's doubly great is that she could still use the Eviolite thanks to the introduction of Kingambit. That just leaves 2 Pokemon to acquire for the living dex. For our last Titan, we head to Lake, as my script says, where we find a bit of sushi. A giant catfish appears to eat it before challenging us to a battle. After a couple Giga Drains from Charlotte, the fish flees. So we chase it to a nearby shore. There, the sushi eats some Herba Mystica for a power boost. Then we have to battle both the Dondozo and the Tatsugiri. Neither is much of a challenge. Tatsugiri just keeps dodging all our moves. It eventually takes down Greedent and Hugo, but Saeed whittles it down and claims victory after a clutch paralysis. Following the battle, Arvin orders Jimmy John's. I can't believe they deliver all the way out here. The sandwiches allow Koraidon to climb walls and restore Mabostiff to full health. This is actually an emotional storyline, so I apologize for rushing through it. There's just so much going on in this game. And with that, all that remains is the final Team Star base, so let's take them down. The first half of this battle is pretty mid. Barry and I keep trading Pokemon. I lose Saeed, she loses Toxicroak. She loses Passimian, I lose Kate. And so on until the Starmobile comes out while I have only Penny and Charlotte remaining. But this is where the fight goes from mid to lit. Penny falls, yeah whatever, but then Charlotte comes in. The only mushroom I will ever appreciate. She and this stupid car have the most epic battle. Charlotte keeps using Clear Smog to undo its stat boosts, then heals with Giga Drain and Synthesis. She even gets paralyzed, at which point I thought the fight was surely over. But then Charlotte comes in absolutely clutch and single-handedly, mind you, takes down the Calf Starmobile. Maybe I should do a Fungus-only run in Unova now. Or even buy a plushie to put on my shelf back there. Regardless, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe out of respect for Charlotte. So I evolve Aaron into Volcarona, switch up my team, and head to the league. We have to face the Champion Assessment Test, which is basically a job interview so that we can challenge the Elite Four. I don't like this. It's a novel idea, sure, and it makes the league a little bit more special, but it's so arbitrary. I also don't know the cities, the gym leaders, and the types in Paldea yet, so that's definitely a factor. Anyway, I pass the test and head in to challenge the league. First is Rika. He's not much of a challenge. My Terra Hugo one-shots his Terra Clodsire. Nothing else of interest happens in this battle. Next is Poppy, but I have 2 7-month-old infants, so I'm an expert in childcare. Erin buffs herself with Quiver Dance, then melts all of her Pokemon. Larry is third, and we all got to appreciate this man's hustle. He's a member of Team Sky now, but I have an Ice and an Electric type. This was never going to be difficult. Honestly, an Ice type matches up really well against this league. In a totally unexpected twist, the final member of the Elite Four is a Dragon user. Hassel isn't much of a challenge though. Saeed single-handedly takes down most of his team. Then the rest of the survivors rally together to take down Excalibur. Time for the final test. We take an elevator to the roof, which is one of the coolest places for a Pokemon battle. Geeta is here, and we challenge her for the title of champion. Unfortunately for her, I built this team specifically to challenge her. So let's see how they do. Round 1, Carl versus Espartha. The Peacock is faster than expected, but Carl eats the giant chicken sandwich in a single bite. Second is Hugo versus Gogoat. The goat Pokemon tries to buff himself, but a couple of icicles to the face are enough to take it down. Kingambit is third with a +2 boost thanks to its ability. However, Desmond moves first and absolutely obliterates him with superpower. He didn't stand a chance. Fourth is Volton Veluza, so I send out Saeed. They trade strong hits, but Saeed's are stronger. Avalugg is next, so I swap to Aaron to melt her with a single fiery dance. That gives us a 6-1 advantage against her incoming Glamora. Danielle takes her turn in battle, but not even the Eviolite can save her from Glamora's vengeful rage. Unfortunately for Geeta, I still have, well, my entire team. But I especially have Desmond, who has insane speed and a very powerful fighting type move. So that's what I use, overwhelming the weird rock squid thing. And now we're the champion. Or a champion? It seems that Paldea has champion as a power level among trainers, with Geeta as the top champion, which ironically makes her the weakest one, since all the other champions have beaten her. Anyway, Nimona is pumped, so she challenges us to meet her in Messagoza for an epic final battle. I swap Saeed for Kate and enter the main square to trigger an epic FMV. Crowds gather around us and we start the battle. Kate scores us an early lead by knocking out Lycanroc with Liquidation. Then comes Paldea's Pikachu clone. This guy hits hard if you aren't careful, but Carl knows what he's doing, so much so that he one-shots both it and Goodra that comes out next. Nimona sends out an Earthworm next, so I send out Hugo. Not falling for that Earth Eater nonsense again, no ma'am. The Alaskan Bullworm takes out both Hugo and Kate before falling to its most natural predator, a giant bird. America's overwhelming superpower knocks out the incoming Dunsparce as soon as it comes in. Then the stupid cat outspeeds Desmond somehow and knocks him out. But Aaron's Flame Body and Fiery Dance moves are too much for the cat to handle. With that, we have firmly established our dominance over Nimona, and all she can do is dab. I've also become the strongest trainer in Paldea. We fade to black and wake up in our dorm room. Wait, we have a dorm room! I totally forgot about that. Anyway, the Victory Road storyline is done. Now let's wrap up the other two stories. Fun fact, if you clear Victory Road before the final phase of Starfall Street, leaving the school automatically triggers the battle with Clive, who turns out to be Director Clavel. What a twist. He then pretends to be Cassiopeia, even though we definitely had several phone calls with them while Clive was standing right next to us. Whatever, dude, just say you want to battle us next time. We beat him in battle, and then he tries to save face. He was just seeing if we were ready to take on the real Cassie, who turns out to be Penny. This twist was also pretty predictable, but still a great plot point. I loved the whole Starfall Street plotline. But I'll talk about that a little bit more later. First, I handily beat both Penny and Arven. Oh yeah, Arven wanted to battle after Mabostiff was healed. To set the stage for the final chapter, we reunite with Penny, Arven, and Nimona at the Zero Gate. The four of us descend into the crater in the safest way imaginable. We have to unlock the door to the lab by visiting 4 external mini-labs, which is weird. Imagine having to do this every day just to go to work. Area Zero is beautiful. I love the scenery, I love the idea of this Lost World type area in a Pokemon region. I love all 3 stories converging, and I love watching these other 3 banter as we explore. One complaint though. I can't ride Koraidon. More like no Rhydon, am I right? Along the descent, Baby Quan finally evolves into Hydreigon. For maybe the first time in history, the level cap allows Hydreigon to be used legitimately. Assuming I'm using a level cap anyway. This also completes the Unova Dex, just in time for the final battles. Oh, that reminds me. I totally caught a Cryogonal also named Mikhail sometime off screen. Not sure how I not only missed that recording, but also doubled up on that nobody's name. Whoopsie. Anyway, in the Zero Lab, we place the Scarlet book into a pedestal to deactivate the machine that is summoning the Paradox Pokemon. Again, sorry for skipping so much of the plot, but there is just so much of it packed in, especially here at the very end of the game. I have thought about doing a Scarlet and Violet explained video where I go through the entire plot of the entire game exclusively. So let me know if you want to see something like that in the comments down below. Anyway, AI Sada tries to stop us from stopping her, so now we have to stop her from stopping us from stopping her. I think I have that right. Sidebar, I'm not sure how she's speaking in Leap Speak. Like, what does it sound like? Anyway, let's just get to that battle. Her team is jam-packed with Paradox Pokemon, all of which are insanely strong. First is Slitherwing, so I choose Desmond, who immediately defeats the bug with a single wing attack. I pivot to Danielle for Fluttermane. Now Danielle, let's actually do something this time, okay? You rode everyone else's coattails in that champion battle, so it's time for you to pull your weight. Fortunately, she does just that, knocking out the ghost with a single Iron Head. She also does a lot of damage to Screamtail before falling, allowing her pal Hugo to clean up with a couple of Icicle Crashes, followed by an Aqua Jet. Then Sandy Shocks comes in, and I completely forget that it's not a Steel type. I know it's an Electric Ground. I had Sada's team open on my phone, so I'm not sure why I sent Aaron out. But Aaron never disappoints, taking down the Abomination with a couple hits of Fiery Dance. Brute Bonnet comes out and starts ripping through my team with Sucker Punch. But Desmond is able to take her down, bringing out Roaring Moon. Carl cuts the beast's attack with Intimidate, so I switch back to Desmond. I expect him to die here, but he survives a Dragon Claw on 13 HP. He then dodges its Stone Edge and scores a direct hit to defeat yet another Pokemon with Superpower. How many lives has Desmond's Superpower claimed at this point? Somebody count it up for me, please. Anyway, the battle's over. There's this whole bit about Koraidon unlocking his battle form, but it's a battle you literally can't lose. AI Sada's defeated, Jurassic Paldea is shut down, we get to walk off into the sunset, we have some new friends, and we also have a giant bike lizard. That's pretty cool. All in all, the Paldea games are awesome. Scarlet is amazing. I've not played Violet, but I'm sure it's just as awesome. The plot is incredible, the characters are amazing. My biggest complaint is that I have two complaints about Paldea. One, the levels don't adjust depending on the order that you do the gyms, so you're really still stuck in a pretty linear gym path. And two, all of the plot is just so densely packed in a few strategic drops. It just gets so boring to sit through all the cutscenes every single time. It's still really repetitive, but it is a great step in a great direction. I love the Starfall Street plotline. It's probably my favorite. I love Arvid and his plotline. That's definitely the biggest, most emotional I've ever gotten about Pokemon. And then Victory Road's about the same as every other Pokemon game, so it's neither here nor there. All that to say, Scarlet and Violet are amazing. Let me know in the comments down below any other challenges you want to see, any other videos you want to see about these games. I'm excited to do some more. They are pretty massive, so this video itself took me a solid 2, maybe at this point 3 months for me to do. But I also stopped in 2 or 3 different spots to do another video instead of this. So maybe future videos won't take as long. But this audio recording is now 50 minutes. I don't know what the final product is going to be, and it's now almost 1 a.m. My voice is tired. I am tired. I need to go to bed. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Later, nerds.